two constellations of their astro signs. So I've thought this cake is a celestial cake. This is an astro cake. This is a wedding cake. It's going to be phenomenal. Let's do it live. So before the live started, I was like, okay, I don't want the gold to be a very, very dark gold. That's not chic at all. I want the gold to be as light as possible. So what I did is I blended pearl white with this dark gold to see if it's good, because at some point during the live, we'll probably paint 1 or 2 stars and letters, and I'll do the rest afterwards. But I need to find the exact color. What I also did right before we started is I took some blue and some white, and I started samples of which color it's gonna look like. Okay, hey everyone. I read the Mosaic Fairy saying it's just started. You have to start over, so I'm gonna start over. Today we're going to decorate Linda's cake for her wedding. It's a celestial cake, and that's how I wanted to name it, because Linda wants a midnight blue backdrop, and the cake is actually right behind me. The 2 levels are behind me. They'll go back to the fridge at some point, but I want to show you, and I want to mount them together. And she wants her sentence that's very dear to her heart on it, that says, "Love you to the moon and back." I think it's a very beautiful sentence. I've only thought this once in my life. So she's ready. They're getting married on Saturday after 11 years together. It's a phenomenal occasion. And she wants their names, of course, and the date of their wedding on top, which has a significance as well. The moon standing on top of the cake, which I really hope we can do during this live. Some stars in different shapes and sizes. And the 2 constellations of their astro signs. Linda is a Pisces. I'm assuming Bill is a Libra, because those are the 2 signs that she communicated to me. And so we're gonna make the 2 different constellations of their astro signs. So let's start, shall we? Before I started this live, I thought, okay, so how do I get on this color that's midnight blue a gold that's not a clashy gold, that's gonna be a very light gold? So I did mix a pearl white and a regular dark gold together to see if it would give me something that's working. I tried to paint both my white and my blue to see how it would look like. And I came to the conclusion that my toppers on the cake should actually be made onto white fondant and onto fondant, where I took that same gold, the dark one, and I started dyeing it. Because if I put some gold on this, I'm gonna try to take a piece that we still have enough, but you can see. You'll see the color it makes. And we'll just mix it in after. You see? So it's actually working even better than on the white, because as you move it, it gives that little sheen to the cake. So that's good. That's awesome. Okay, so that can go back in there. I'll just blend it. Perfect. Here we go. In this one. The other thing is I have this gold powder here. So the original intent for this cake was to make it like a constellation. So I wanted the bottom to be light and then dark as I go up. Well, yesterday, I don't know if you see my forearms. It looks like I've been attacked by a crew of kickboxers. I tried to use my old rolling pan to make the dress of the bottom cake, which, by the way, I made 3 times before I could even cover this cake. So by the time I re-blended, remade, reflattened, re-put, there was no more tie and dye possible. So I'm thinking to go around this minor issue of mine for the design I had in my head, that I'm gonna sprinkle some of that gold. The only thing is, because I don't know how it works, I've had it for several months, but I don't know how it works. I did spray like this, and I think I need to do it with a brush because otherwise it's like really too much into your face. So I think this is gonna be done right before we put anything on it, if Linda confirms that she actually wants it. Hey, what's up? So this is one thing. The other thing is I went to Michael's. You know that craft store? There's one down my street, whatever. And I go with my son when he comes back from school at 2 p.m. because I do not have ABA yet for him and he's autistic. And so we go to Michael's. I put him into the cart and I'm hoping I'm going to find star molds in several sizes because I'm going to be able to go real fast instead of doing it with my knife. I hope I'm going to find maybe a moon mold, which in the end I think we will just make with fondant as we do a banana. And I go there, I enter, and the woman in the store who works there says, "Oh, I've already seen your face." And I'm thinking to my head, here I am with my son. He takes 15 minutes to get into a cart. He's screaming because the doors don't close. You know, autism sometimes has those travers that are really hard. And that's why she thinks she already saw me, because every time we come, we're not too discreet, right? So I go into the aisles and I find nothing. No star molds available, no moon molds available, no light gold available, which is why before this live I checked for the color. No, nothing I wanted. So I go like really penaud back to the registers and I say, "Hey, can you help me in the baking aisle?" And she's like, "I know where I saw you. I saw you on one of your videos on YouTube." You guys, I have 155 subscribers. The occurrence that it's possible that she saw me was like, to me, this mini. I don't know who says I miss you so much. So it was like the possibility for this to happen is, to my head, 0. And thank you for subscribing. And so I basically, what I did is I went back with her to the aisle because I wanted to know if they have those stars, right? Because I only have these for the past 14 years. And I mean, it's not going to be in relief or anything. And she says, "But there's one thing that you said on your video that you don't have." So now I have a fondant rolling pan. Now my forearms are not going to be blue like this. And when I made the top of the cake, which is after going to Michael's, now it's actually completely smooth. So I do see a difference. So now I recommend those things. But I'm not promoting nobody who paid me for it. I'm just telling you that was a fun fact from yesterday, because meanwhile, she says, "Oh, that right, my son is throwing his shoes out of the cart." So, I mean, mommy times, right? So going forward to make fondant dresses, I'm gonna use those. Yes, it's great that she recognized me. I could not believe it. Make no sense. Okay, so going forward, I'll be able to do tie and dye, but now we will have to just make an effect of dye and dye. And before the live started, what I also did is I made all those letters because it takes way too much time to do it together. Those are in the fondant in which I put some gold already. And so, as we want to decorate a cake, okay, most of the decorations I make with a knife. So if I have to adapt the shape, the size, everything's possible. There's no limitation. But the letters, I use these steps. So this is one size, doesn't fit all, right? So it's one of the reasons why I needed a cake that was this big for the bottom, because otherwise, love you to the moon and back, would have not been able to fit in this cake. And I would like it to be like en travers of the cake. En travers of the cake is basically I want it crossed like this. I think it would look way better. And love you to the moon and back. And then there are two constellations. Maybe a cheval on the two, and I need a bend here on the bottom because of the struggle that yesterday's dress of fondant became for the bottom part. So once the letters are on top, now you can decorate with everything else. But we don't want to spend the whole live on how we will display the lettering and all that. So we will just do one part together, which is the date on top. And I will show you this way how it works here when I do that. So this is the mold of the top cake. I told you Linda wants the moon standing, remember, on top of her cake. Without fondant, marble cake is possible, yes. Yes. Actually, the cake itself can be marbled. Oh, you're Indian? And you like to eat marble cake? Oh. See, in France, we have this marbré, which is marble cake, which is going to be half chocolate, half vanilla. So this cake for the first time is an Namandier base. Everything's vanilla. And in between the center of each cake, I put some wild blueberry compotee and jam alternated, so it would not be too sweet for every bite of the cake. I wonder who is à la 9738. Caroline, can you figure this out? Okay, so for the inscriptions to work, the date needs to be on the side that's going to be the front of my cake. And we need to see it this way, that it's rounded. And wherever it's not going to be is where I'm going to be able to put my moon that's going to be like this. You have to imagine on top of the cake. And the moon, I'm thinking, even the mosaic fairy can do a marble cake. Well, she's not a big baker, but when it comes to tiramisu, she's your go-to girl. And plus, she's going to make it carnivore for you, which is insane. I mean, if you don't add chocolate, she makes it carnivore for you. So the moon is going to be where I don't have letters, right? So here we are. You need to confirm that in English, I'm not making no mistake here when it comes to writing the date that way, because between the French way and the American way, there's like, it's insane. So here, let's just display it, how it's going to go in the end. So we would say August. And we want to just marry the curve of the cake. Okay, August 22nd, because their date has a meaning. So we definitely want it on the cake. August 22nd, but I'm going to write 22 because if I go 22nd, I'm all around the cake, right? Unless you tell me it's not possible in English. Who should block who? I'm never blocking. The Mosaic Fairy is my best friend, and she has that humor that you take everything she says, opposite side of what she said. So don't worry, PS5 gamers. Okay, so here I put a comma after 22. Do you see what I'm doing? I should go like that, huh? And then 2026. Can I write? I would have to go and ask Gemini or ChatGPT, but can I write a date that way in English? Or is that not proper English? And see already, just the date, it's taking almost half the size of my cake. So this is how I do it first, because once it's on the cake, it's not going nowhere. Okay. Maybe you want to text me because I do not understand. And so, oh yeah, she's not talking about you. PS Game 5 gamers. Okay, so here they didn't even have a stick at Michael's yesterday. So I would have then a moon on a stick standing on top of that cake. And it would probably be planted right there. So I have the room for the half circle to be. Okay, you like? And once these letters will be on the cake, or before I put them on the cake, which may be smarter, I'll have to paint them. But this gives you the idea of how the letters are gonna be, and this gives me the idea of where the moon can go. There you go. I'll just cover this right now with a wrap because I don't want it to become dry. I only want it to harden once it's in my fridge. So it remains a very good tasting fondant and it's not crackling and crumbling and nothing like this. Here. But this is our template for the top of the cake, you guys. Okay, let's go to the next thing. So then on the top of the cake, we're thinking we want Linda and Bill. Well, guess what? It needs to fit in height. Let me get a ruler. I'm using a fire station ruler. Okay, so my letters are like 1 inch height each. If I have 3 lines, it's 3 inch. If I want to have half an inch in between, it's going to be 4 inch. See, I don't have too much of too much. So I'll have to be able to literally, I need a bigger kitchen. Can I place this order to Santa? No, I'm joking. I love my kitchen, but I don't have enough working space here. So see, I don't have too much of a height. So I'll need to be able to put Linda and Bill, and it will need to have to match what's the center of the date once you have confirmed that I can write it like this in English, Caroline. Because we need to decide where the center of our cake is. We want their name on the top. We want them in the center. And I believe we should have their constellation like this, à cheval onto the bottom cake. So enough talking. I need to put the top cake on the bottom cake before it's been out for too long and that it's not gonna cooperate. Nope, I cannot write this the date like that. Can I? I'm really asking. I don't know if I really have to do 22nd or if I don't, because if I don't, it's better. Okay, so because this one was a massive struggle, let's try and see which side is the best. Here. I have this part that hooks to every single handle in here. Of course. Okay, so what's the best side? We want it super straight. We will have a mini ribbon on the bottom, so disregard the bottom pleats. They won't show. But I'm thinking this is the best. So now that I chose the best, I'm gonna add a mini piece of fondant, and that mini piece of fondant is going to tell us the entire time we're decorating where's our center. So let me just put it right here. This is the center of our cake. Do you see that mini piece of fondant? It's my marker, so I know. Okay, then, I may have waited for too long. So, there we go. Okay, so then I want to do this one is beautiful every single angle because this one was made way easier. So I'm removing the bottom and I'm gonna put it on our cake. Voila, centered. There you go. So now we know that we need to make a band. Voila. Now we know, that's why my apron is like multicolored. Okay, we know we need to make a band that's thin like this for the top, because remember, otherwise I cannot fit Linda and Bill. And we need to make a band that's potentially this height to hide my little pleats on the bottom from my disaster fail of the covering of this cake, originally for the bottom level. I'm going to say that this needs to go to the side. So let's do it that way. I'm pushing my little paint samples here in gold. This is the front of your cake, so you see it. There you go. Do you see it? I put some cream on it. So when I do, I use Q-tips. You cannot center. Yes, you just go on top like this and you look at if it's like centered to the bottom part. And sometimes on purpose you put it more atrás because you want more room on the front, so you can put some, like I did for the Mario Kart cake. I wanted to have rooms for these mini bananas, so I pushed everything back. So you would see the cake on one angle, it would be almost straight from the back, and it would go like stairs in the front because I only have the molds I have and it needs to work, right? Okay, so let's go. Let's work with the stars now. I'll put this one in the fridge. You give me 1 minute because I need to remove a whole shelf of my fridge, so now this fits and it needs to go in the garage. Okay. Okay, sorry. Of course, my top shelf was like full of 2,500 eggs and stuff. Okay, so let's see the constellations. Where did I put them? They should be right here. Here we go. So this is Linda's constellation, Pisces. It's also yours, Caroline. And this is Bill's. You see, I've put them into plastic like this because we need to know how we make them. So I'll make them in your side for the sake of it, so you see it better. And we know that we need 3 different sizes of stars to respect the design that she gave me. So I was thinking, since I did not find stars yesterday for molds at Michael's, I can use a Christmas mold I have here, and I can use the little star here. And this one is actually pretty much the size of this. And I can use those sugar ones, hoping I can paint them, for the small ones I have. And maybe I'm gonna move you so you see closer. I need to figure out how I make those lines because I want that line to be gold, remember? So it cannot just be, or I just make 2 sizes of stars and I use, this one is broken, those little sugar ones like that. It's gonna slide, but maybe you'll see what I'm trying to say if I do that. Do you see the stars? And then I use this one for the 2 big ones here. And the lines could be me with my brush. I'd need another one though, making a line in between the stars. Or it could be me with my fondant here, making a very thin band, like I do the fishnet of a water polo swimming pool, for example. The goalie, the cage. I do this very thin bands, but so those are the options. So let's start. And also, I used to make my own oil, but now I found that one that's phenomenal from Costco. And what I do is I put some on my finger, like this, very little. It's coconut oil, it's super, super good. And I do this into my mold. So by the time I'm gonna put my fondant, I'm not like trying to unstick something that glued inside. I really strongly advise that you would do that, especially on the thinner things, because otherwise it just never comes out properly. Okay, so let's use the color that's the preferred color for whatever is going to be painted in gold later. We take a little piece of fondant. If it's not a fondant from yesterday, like this one, we have to work it. It goes into the mold. We push as much as we can so it enters. And then with my knife, I take this out. I redo well the edges like this, and I press, and it comes out. Okay, so that would be the star that I recommend for here. And as you can tell in the constellation, for the Libra one at least, it's not true for the Pisces here, but because I want to respect the design, I'm not going to question it. I have 1 point of the star that leads to a line, but here it's in the center of. So the stars need to be put in a certain way. And I probably, in the end, will have to cut this. So when I transfer it to the cake, I'm doing this right and I'm respecting this design. Happy birthday! Thank you. Thank you, Miss Krahed. Oh, I cannot pronounce. My English is really bad. But happy birthday. It was my birthday on Saturday. And then Miss Embers on Tuesday, we delivered the cake, by the way. She was super happy. We met her parents. And we figured it out. She was turning 32. So I told her, let's say it's 23. Okay, so second one. Here you go. I'm from France. So it's a little more it's a little bit more complicated than that. But my dad is American, my mother is French. I was born and raised in France. My English is a disaster. I speak 4 and some people say 5 languages, none of them perfectly. But I mean, if you understand me, you're good. For the English, you have to just hook yourself and not let go. But bonjour. And I live in the US since my firstborn is 1. So he's gonna turn 15 in October. So it's like almost 14 years I'm here. And I've done 1,000 things, and then I got an autistic child, so I was shot flying professionally, and so I'm trying to do things from home so I can be with him. You live in UAE? What time is it there right now? So this is our other star. You can tell that the Pisces drawing is gonna be way, way harder than the Libra. So I think we do the Libra on the live and I struggle with the Pisces after. Otherwise I won't have the room. But I'm just trying to make those big stars and we'll paint one together here. Because that's still like for us to put something on the cake, even if it's lettering and not the constellation just yet. You're 13 years old? Oh, that's a cool age. You still don't need to reverse the numbers. For some reason in multiple lives, I have very young ones joining. Probably because I'm a child myself. Okay. Caroline, can you text M and ask if it's him, Allah? I think it is. Now that I'm thinking. Yes, you have way more time. Everyone has an inner child. That's a big wisdom for a 13-year-old. It's really true. Okay, so here, what's your name? Yes, everybody has an inner child. Oh. Okay, so here we do the next one. And as soon as it starts gluing to your fingers again, you just want to put powdered sugar and it's going to save you a lot of hassle. Of course, on the cake, in between the constellation, we can add some of the little stars like this in relief. That will be way more beautiful than just the sugar ones. But it gives you an idea of how the drawing on the cake is gonna, the decoration is gonna come out. So here, I put this away. I need some powdered sugar on these hands because they're starting to be sticky. And we need to make a moon. So the moon, we have several ways. We either make it in relief or we make it flat, but we want it to stand. So even if it's flat, it needs to be thick. So the way I was thinking that we could make it, because I just made a Mario Kart cake in February, and it was all about the bananas, you know, the bananas that the cars are like slippering onto. And it was not that hard. That actual topper was actually really fast to make, and I even made a short about this. Yes, you should go to sleep so your parents are not mad, but you know they wouldn't just be mad. Love you. They would be right. They do it for your well-being. Have a good night. Thank you for joining. Okay, so here is my fondant. I'm gonna make some sort of a pipe. Up. I don't know how long, thin I want it, so I'm not cutting too short. And I've never made a moon, so bear with me. I think we want it to be like you would make a banana, so smaller to the sides, so it makes the points to the sides. And then we will have to make it hold with something so my fondant dries properly. But that would be one option of a moon. Do you see a moon, or is it only me? That's not bad, huh? And then we would put a stick. So once it's dried a little bit, I'll have to fuse it everywhere first. And then we'll paint it in gold, of course. But so that would be the moon on top of the cake. Can you imagine right now? So again, I have my lettering, and that would be the topper of the cake. Do you like that? The moon is gonna be in a very light gold that I showed at the beginning. I think you had not joined yet, PS5 gamers, but it's gonna be in this color. That's like this very subtle light gold, because all the decorations and the writing is gonna be in that color. So I'm just trying to avoid that my fingerprints, because right now my fondant is so soft, but I don't want my fingerprint to be all over. What do you think of the size of that moon, and what do you think of that moon in general? Is that good? Because I'll have to have it dry flat, otherwise it's not gonna stay. I think it does look like a moon. You agree? So I'm gonna put it flat, probably onto where it needs to go later. I'm gonna make sure it looks like a moon. So here we go. I want it pointy here and pointy here. Okay. And I don't think I'm gonna do like the rounds inside and make it look like planets. And I mean, we're into a celestial wedding cake. We're not into the space, you know? So for it to not show on my top of the cake and for it to still hold something, I think my stick needs to go from here. Now, chances are I'm gonna damage my fondant as I do this, but I need to pierce it now. Yes, I need that stick to make it stand. And in front of the stick, you know, because maybe some of the wood is gonna show, or we could put some of those pearls, oops, now they're in the living room. We could put some of those pearls of sugar, either in white and blue, but all paint in gold no matter what. So this is where my moon, okay, let's do the right shape. Okay, that's the shape of a moon right now. And actually more so on my way than on yours. So why is that? It should be identical both sides. It's not, but that's okay. So where it's gonna be on the cake touching and I won't see is here. So let me just try to open slightly. And then I'm gonna put this stick. And I've never put nothing on a cake with a stick. Everything is always edible because I make them for kids. But Linda said it's completely fine that her cake has a stick. So let's do it that way. Voila. So now it's gonna dry slightly, so I'm not gonna cover it because I want it slightly dried so it holds the shape. And this is gonna have to stay like this for maybe a day-ish because it's a lot of fondant, you guys. But that's okay. It's exactly like Linda would like it, so that's what we're doing for her wedding. There we go. So, but see, my stick is not straight because otherwise it will show, I'm afraid. It will show either in the center here or on the bottom too much. Et voilà. So let's paint this one since it's gonna stay here for a while. Whew, I was stressed about this. Okay. So here, this is how it can look. And maybe that's not dark enough. Maybe we mix it with some of the gold. It definitely gives a sheen to it. But because I have already dyed the fondant in that very light gold, I don't think it's dark enough. So, and that's actually gel coloring more than it is, it's edible, but more than it is edible paint itself. So see the color? It's an, okay, so it's a food grade stick, but it's not edible. It's a wood stick. Okay, so let's put some of that gold. But see, gold, if you buy gold, it becomes that very, very dark gold that I do not like. So do I take the risk of trying to add that gold now? On my moon that's ready? Yes, huh? Maybe dashes. Let's try. And not fully. Actually, that looks good. Yep, if we don't do it fully, it looks good. It looks like a moon now. And of course, once it's dry and up on the cake, I can turn it back and do the other side. Right now, for the sake of the live, I do it that way, but if you're on your own, you want to do the back before you paint the front, because you will have to put it on the front now to paint the back, so I may have to do the front twice. Does that even make sense? Okay, so what do you think of that gold? I put this back into the water. What do you think of this? That's good, no? Yes, pretty. Okay. Do we add? No, because it's going to be too much of a dark gold if we add the powder. Okay, so on the bottom of her, once she's going to be sticked into the cake, away from that lettering to not damage this or be over this, I'm going to add some pearls like those to the root of the moon. So it hides the stick if the stick shows. So there is for the top of your cake. There is for the sides of your top level of your cake, besides the fact that I need more of those mini stars and sugar, which is my only option. And we have the letter Linda and Bill already. So I suggest that we go get the cake and we start decorating the sides of the top level. Up. I go get the cake. When the cake has been out of the fridge for a little bit, it's super heavy. You guys, it's like half my weight, and now I'm adding this in marble. Here we go. Okay. So the front of our cake is right here. Okay. So we want to write Linda and Bill. Linda is 5 letters. And she's gonna determine the center of the cake. I mean, she's the bride, so we may as well. When the cake has been out for a little bit, it's sticky to the surface. So chances are you do not need the whole water glue tip. But most of the time, because you keep your cake in the fridge and your fondant dress is not leaking or sweating yet, for you to glue things on your cake on the sides and it's not falling, and it never happened to me even in my drives. And people who know how I drive, I mean, when I tell you it's glued, okay? Because I'm not the slowest driver, and I'm not, yeah. Some people say I drive like I dance. So sometimes it's something, right? Okay, so the way you want to do it is you would just apply some water here, damp it on a little paper towel, and then put. If you don't damp it, it's going to leak this color onto this. So you want to do it. But to have it just a little bit moist with water will actually allow it to glue. Right now, because this was out for so long when we talked earlier, I'm guessing we don't need it. Also, when I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna have, some powdered sugar on it, doesn't matter. As soon as it goes to the fridge, this is going to disappear. Okay, so this is my center of my cake. The N is almost the center to Linda. Okay. And the end of Linda and Bill can actually be the exact center, and it's gonna be also the center of this. So now I'm trying to visualize my cake like this. I'm gonna do it on my side really quick so I don't do something that's wrong. And here's the center of my cake. And this is the center. There you go. And so now see, because it's been out long enough, it's gonna stick to the cake. So now if this is your center, I need Bill here, Linda on top, the date here, or a moon here, remember, or 2 astro constellations, and we need this love you to the moon and back. And I may not be able to do it cross, because love you to the moon and back literally takes all that space. And you guys, I do not have all that space, or I cannot put nothing on that cake. So I may need to do it in 3 lines, love you to the moon and back. We'll see. Okay, that may be another live if we do one tomorrow. Okay, so Linda, the center letter is gonna be the N. Slightly cheating because the I is way smaller than the D, okay? And so I'd say if this is my center and I want it super straight, here. Of course, I have smoothed my letters. I have dyed my fondant, so these would be in the right color to be then painted in gold. I have smooth the edges. Okay, then I put the letter around, which is gonna be I. And I'll have to go fast because then I need to check looking on my end if it's straight or not, because I cannot do it like this. I don't see. Talking about vision, I have to start wearing reading glasses now. Okay. I think I've been making too many videos edits. Okay, here. There we go. And then you say I'm a gangster when I drive. I wouldn't say that, but yes, I do. I do not drive like you, that's for sure. You get pulled over because you're too slow. I'm telling here. Okay. Here. Linda. Okay, let's see if the spacing is okay. It does look okay. But the L is too low. The N is not straight. The A. And let's put Bill now. See, I had not smoothed my B properly, so my B was not curved enough inside, and I'm using the back of my brush here, so my inside of my letter is super smooth, especially when you have a contrastic backdrop. You don't want to see any of the non-pretty little bumps of fondant. It's not cool. So here. So Bill is gonna be, the second L is the, let me take the whole name. The second L is gonna be in the middle. So let's try to center it. So it means that maybe Okay, wait, where is my center to this? Let's make sure I don't do this wrong. So Bill takes like 7 cm, 3,5. Yes. So this is the center. So this is going to be in the center. And I start by the letter from the center. You saw that, right? And I always do. Which is why to write love you to the moon and back may not be as easy as it sounds. Oh, Sophia. I'm gonna just redo very quickly a little brief as to what we're doing. So now I want to separate the letters here enough so it's separated like we did for Linda. There we go. And again, it's because the cake is sweating that I do not need to add water, otherwise I would. Okay, let's see if this is straight. I think the letters are too spaced. Don't know what you think, but I think it's too much. So let's just do it less while we can still do it. I'm so glad their names are Linda and Bill and not Marie-Charlotte, like I tell you right now. Okay, here we go. They're making my life a little easier. Okay, here and this. When I was in preschool, I used to tell my parents that my best friend next to me, her name was Eva, 3 letters, and my name was Marie-Charlotte Georgina Michelle Wood. And I was like, I cannot write my name like my friend is writing her name, but she has 3 letters and me, I have. So that became a joke in the family because I was like 3.5 when I said that. Okay, here. I think that's better. And I'll need my coton-tige right here with some of this water to remove some of the blue I had on my finger right now and that I'm putting on my L. Here we go. Because you don't want any migration of color, right? This is sugar, it will disappear, that's okay. Okay, so Linda and Bill, do you see Linda and Bill? Nobody has my name, I know. Okay, so now, the way, I'm hooking myself to my cabinets. The way this is gonna be looking like is like this. So just a dash of gold. And the idea of the Constellation, Celestial cake, Astro cake, that's gonna be in that midnight blue and very light gold color. Okay, so for Sophia, who just joined back, thank you for joining. We are making a cake right now that's due for Saturday. Linda is getting married and wants an Astro wedding cake. So basically she wanted a 2-level cake, which, ta-da, we're doing. And it was such of a struggle for the bottom one. You'll see this in the streaming repost. I mean, my forearms are blue and it went like completely sideways. I wanted something tie and dye, not happening. I had to redo it 3 times. And then I did the top one super easy because I ended up with a new rolling pin that actually made the job. And that was a complete coincidence. Very funny story. But so she wants a 2-level cake. It has to be midnight blue. She wants a sentence that's dear to her heart, which basically has settled what theme this cake is going to be about. She wants love you to the moon and back. So as she said she wanted this, thank you, Sophia. As she said she wanted this, I said, okay, then you want stars and a moon and, you know, on top of your cake. And then she went crazy. And I love Linda to my heart, but she went completely crazy because she said yes. So she wants a moon that's gonna be standing on the top of the cake that we just made live before you joined. It's for her wedding. The cake is for the wedding on Saturday. So she's gonna have a moon and the date of the wedding here written on top of the cake. The moon needs to dry though. The moon is going nowhere till it dries, and it's a lot of fondant, as you can see, per thickness. So we're not putting it on together. It's technically not a possibility. And then what she also wanted is the constellation of their two astro signs. So Linda is a Pisces, Bill is a Libra, and this is the Libra constellation, and then this is the Pisces constellation, and we will put them on the cake. What I was explaining to everyone before you joined, Sophia, is that until you put the writing on the cake, you don't know what space you have at all. So we don't want to spend the whole live in displaying letters because that would be really boring. But we want to make sure that when I come up with love you to the moon and back, I know where to put it, or I don't know where to put the constellations. Does that make sense? So here, let's continue. We also said that we don't want a very dark gold because it doesn't look chic. We want a gold that's a light gold. So this is what I was trying to apply on those first letters that we have now on the top level of the cake. There you go. You're updated. Okay. So, but that light gold is barely visible. At least I see it in real, but on the camera, I almost don't see the difference because I'm cheating here. I have my laptop on so I can read your comments without glasses, and I can read your comments in the language that you put them because my phone translates everything. And also I can see what you see, so I know if there's something weird happening, like last time when I had the sound tripled and I only had 2 devices. I don't even know how this is possible. Okay, so what we did on the moon, Sophia, is we added some dash of this gold. That's the dark gold. I don't really like too much, but if we do it in touches, it's actually giving more of a hint of color. And so it's more visible. So we did it on the moon. Let's do it on the letters now. Is my end and Linda as spaced as my end and Bill? Or is it me being picky right now? Here, I just put Bill Mull down. Voila. Okay, very slightly. So there won't be a constellation right there. I mean, we don't have the room. What we will put now is this ribbon of blue. And I think because once it's on, we know where to place the letters. If I know where to place the letters, I know where to place the constellations. So, okay. I put this back to the fridge so it's not fully melting. Thank you, Sophia. I put this back in the fridge and we do the bend, or wait, I put it on the side and we do the bend. When I say the bend, I'm not talking about music, I'm talking about a ribbon, but I'm just translated from the French. And c'est une bande de fondant. Okay, here. Oh. Okay, so it's on my stove. So now to make the bend, the ribbon of fondant, I need this blue guy right here because I need to hide my mess of yesterday when I tried to cover the lower part of the cake and I literally couldn't with my old rolling pin and my bruised forearms because I was doing this so much to roll so far, and then it was gluing to the mat. This mat is not this good. It's better than my IKEA one, but I have the feeling my IKEA one was thinner, so if I needed to transport everything together, I could. This one, I cannot lift it. I need a better mat than this for fondant. So it would make my life way easier, especially if I start making so many cakes like this. Okay, because Sophia, I started this channel in October, but I really started to post in June. The algorithm is not always super easy and super friendly. Like right now, I have the impression I'm in jail because I posted 2 last shorts and I have like 22 and 18 views. And I'm like, okay. And when on Instagram, the same post is like 5,200 views. So it's sometimes I post probably things that are not good, but this time it's not the reason. And I just don't get it. I just don't understand how it works. Okay, so you always work your fondant before you try and do anything, or it's gonna be crackling, which is not what we want. And when you make a shape, you either do what I do and it's covered here on the cellophane, so it's not drying unless I want it to dry, like the moon, and I leave it out. And you apply it on the cake straight away, because if you wait, it's not gonna happen. So for the soccer cake, contact a brand and tell them you want a collab. Yeah, I don't know that I want a collab. I want something that works. I don't want to say that our product is good if it's not. I really want something that works. I mean, I'm on my 3rd rolling pin, I'm returning. And so Sophia didn't hear it, but yesterday when I was at Michael's and this woman says, oh, I've seen you somewhere. And I'm like, it's because I'm not so discreet with my son. I'm not so discreet with my son. And then I don't find nothing I want in the aisles. And then I go back to her at the register and I'm like, do you have molds for fondant with stars and some light gold? And she's like, we're out of stock. We have none of these left. And I know where I saw you. And I'm like, what is she going to say now? And she saw me on YouTube. That was funny. And then she was like, there's one thing you said that you don't have in your videos is this. And I was like, you know what? With the struggle I went into right now, trying to cover the lower part of the cake, that I still have to cover the top part, I'm going to buy that. So I didn't come back from Michael's with what I needed, but I came back from Michael's with I didn't come back with what I wanted, but I came back with something I really needed. Funny story. Like, I mean, I have literally no followers and I just started and I'm not, well known at all on YouTube. And this woman is like, I know where I saw you on YouTube. And I was like, so astonished. Oh, okay. Maybe then I should ask, because I cannot invest into everything on my own. Okay, so I said we want to do this ribbon for the lower part of the cake. The lower part of the cake is going to be, so that's where math enter in scene, which is not funny, because that's not my forte. But basically it's going to be 2.5 times this size. So I will not be able with my surface to make it in 1. I don't think so. If I am, it's, super cool, but I don't think I have enough room. I'll have to move everything. Do you still see? Yes, okay. Here, I'm hooked to my little thing again. Okay, so I move my little sample of gold here. So now it means I need to wash my hands because I touched gold. Everything on the cake is like supernatural, organic, best for health, like organic eggs, organic compotee of wild blueberries from France with no sugar added and stuff. But this dye is industrial. I mean, you cannot get this color and it's not industrial. When I see the color of my hands, I'm like, you guys are gonna pee blue. It's just, you're gonna be all blue like a schtroumpf. How do you translate schtroumpf in English, Caroline? I also watch Rosanna Panzino on YouTube, and she does baking videos, and she's really good. And you could maybe get some tips from her. Of course. I mean, I'm just starting. All tips welcomes. Actually, a feedback is a gift, always. Okay, so we're making this band, which is a ribbon. Sorry for pardon my French. I try to make it in diagonal so I have more room and it's more... We try to make it the same size, same thickness, all over. So the longest it's gonna be, the better. Here we go, I cannot go further. Here I can. You cannot see it on your screen, but I can still earn 1 or 2 inch, and I'm gonna do it. I hope this is gonna not break. There you go. So when this happens, you wanna use your knife. I have powdered sugar my surface. It's just my fondant is really, really soft. And if I had a proper mat, then maybe it wouldn't do that. I don't know, but right now it does. There you go. So I move it slightly, and it's heavy as well because it's super long. That happened to me for the cake I made for the Mundial, the World Cup. And I was making the scarf of Argentina and the scarf of Portugal because those were the 2 favorite players of the birthday boys that we were celebrating with that cake. And especially for the Portugal scarf, I had those very wide bands, and I would take them off my mat and they would dismantle before they would get to the cake. I ended up using like a spatula to just move it too. But that's where I tell you, you know, you want to do it the moment that you're actually just shaping it, because this way it's soft, but you're not completely sure it's not gonna break. And I mean, that's okay. So right now, if I don't do the whole tour of the cake because I don't have the capacity of it, I'll just do 2 ribbons and that's fine. So here I use this one, but I used to be using just my knife. So it's gonna go from the beginning to the end. There we go. Because this is never gonna cut like a knife, I still need to be using my knife. So it's pretty till here. Here we go, that goes. And you'll see that the fondant I'm not using, I put it back straight away into a wrap. I'm gonna go main levée like this to make sure that my edges are smooth. And I'm using some French words, and if you start following along, you'll just learn those words because those are the ones that in the stress of the live and of making the cake, those are the ones that come. So, I mean, and usually in cooking, just like in ballet, many words are actually French words. In some areas, I mean. Okay. This I don't need. This doesn't side either. But I need to smooth the edge first, so I'm going with my knife. There you go. I'm going under with my knife as well, so I don't destroy it. Okay, and there is your ribbon. I'm gonna try to get this part off, and it's pretty till here. Because it's always better if you don't have a seam, but I don't know that I can make it in one part. So what I'll do is I'm not gonna go to the back of the cake with the end of my ribbon. I'm gonna go to the middle front of the cake with the middle of my ribbon. So I go, in worst case scenario, I'll have a little touch up at the back. Okay. Here. So this is my ribbon. The edges are smooth. And I'm gonna put it on my cake. So we'll do it together. I'll put my cake back here really quick. Up. Okay. Voila. I hope I didn't wait for too long. gonna do it like that. Like you would do the ribbon on a gift. But you just be careful not to break it, because it's fondant, it's not fabric, and I mean, you're not completely sure it's gonna do. Well, guess what? I go to the end. Yay. So I'll even be able to center the seam, or to what feels like it's the center, because I don't know exactly, but it's the opposite to this, right? Yes. There we go. So opposite to this is going to be approximately here. There we go. Yeah, I'm so happy it worked, and only once. I didn't think I could. And so see at the back, I just have one seam. I'm smoothing the edge of the front. When I see how wrinkled this is. Okay, so here is your cake with its ribbon. We need to make the ribbon for the middle. Hey, hi. Thank you for joining. Someone joined earlier under a weird name, and I was like, Caroline, you check it's him. Okay. So let's do the second ribbon. Are you done with ribbons and we do something else? I will have to do it later, but... Okay, I lift this. Ooh. And I get hooked on the bottom with the... Merde alors. Voilà. Okay. So this is not straight. Give me 1 second. Before it dries. Okay, Bill and Linda. We can do the other ribbon, but I think that you've seen it. It's the same exact way of doing it. There's no interest. Yes? Yes, Caroline? There's no interest in redoing the exact same thing. I mean, I hate doing the same thing twice. So I'm assuming it's the same for you. I want to respect your time. Let's do something else on the cake. But I'll do a ribbon for the top part as well, because it's going to look more finished, and it's going to just hide these. So now I'm moving the cake again. It's just going to hide these. You see those little edges here? I could also put just a little line. Doesn't need to be a ribbon. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. I'll figure it out. I know, but you know what? I missed that insult. And I have to tell you one thing, Caroline. An insult is gonna hurt you if it has an inch dash ounce of truth in it. If it doesn't have no truth in it, so I didn't even see this insult, and I'm sure it didn't, you know? And in the end, haters, on vous a pas sonné, but you're welcome because you boost this algorithm big time. So you're working in my favor, trying to hurt me. But I had not seen the insult, Caroline. That's why I made a, who is that? Can you see? And I was not understanding why you were like, block him. I don't know how to block people, so you need to teach me, but yeah. Okay, so for those who just joined, we're doing Linda's cake. It's for her wedding on Saturday. She's gonna marry Bill, and what she's asking for is that the sentence, love you to the moon and back, which I made these right before the live because there's no point in spending an hour of the live cookie cuttering letters together. Love you to the moon and back. So love you to the moon and back basically is giving a theme to the cake already just by itself. It's something that I only felt one time in my own life. So I know it's a very important sentence for her and I absolutely want it on, even though it does sound like nothing, but it's a complicated criteria because this sentence, think of it, is gonna take so much room in this cake that now we don't know where to put the constellations and everything. And if we put love you to the moon and back like this and it's not straight like I originally thought, it's gonna clash to these. Now I see it because we've done that. So we will have to write it here on the bottom. It's taking space, so the constellations needs to be to the side. Because this cake, by being love you to the moon and back, is gonna be with moon, stars, and the constellation of their own astro signs. So we started doing the Libra one together, and I hope we can do a little more of it. And we started doing the Pisces one together. And although Pisces is also so it's Linda's, the bride sign, but also Pisces is the sign of Caroline. So it would make sense that since she's online that we would do hers. This is way too complicated to do it together. It would take way too much time. So then we will have stars on top of the two constellations, and we will have this on top of the cake because their wedding date has a significance. So they want the wedding date, and I still need someone to tell me if this is good. I love the Saigon Trail. Well, you'll see now it doesn't have the flooring like it did a year ago. Marvin here is saying, I'm watching, but I'm doing the Saigon Trail at the same time. It's a trail in La Jolla, which I love so much. It looks so beautiful. It's like the trail ends on the ocean. It's phenomenal. But I redid it with my son 2 weeks ago. And I swear, in the canyon part, you end onto places where there's no more floor. Like so, which was not like that a year ago. But yes, it's beautiful. Okay, so what we have on top of that cake is the date of the wedding, which we want centered. And again, our center is marked with this little guy right there on the bottom. And we have the moon. So the moon that we made, like I said, like a banana. I mean, by default, I don't know how to say any other way. And it reminded me of what I tried to do for my Mario Kart cake. And we painted that moon in a light gold, which is a mix of two colors paint. And we added dashes of the gold that's too dark for the cake. So should we just put 2 stars in here and call it done for this live? I mean, you have a pretty good idea of what the design's gonna be by now. How long have we been live? Already an hour and a half? Whoa. Okay. So let's put stars. So let's make the stars with my little, for those of you who were not there, Christmas mold. Since I didn't find any stars yesterday, any mold stars yesterday when I went to Michael's. So now that's good. Now that I have done blue, I cannot do my star here. I need to clean this because otherwise my gold fondant is going to become blue, right? So this is not what we want. I need my hands cleaned. And for the sake of the live, we painted their names onto the cake once it was on. But really for the whole sentence here, I'm gonna paint the letters before and then apply them to the cake. Way easier, but it will have to dry in between, which is not an option that we have during a live. So here, this is going to be to make my little star. I just work the fondant. I go into this little mold. My knife is dirty. Let me take another one. Here, not dirty, but it has the blue fondant on it. I cut to the edge. Actually, this one works way better. Okay. I have put some of my MCT oil on the bottom of my mold as a reminder for everybody. So I can just do this and it's gonna come out instead of instead of luchar like I do right now. So it didn't work. I need to add more. Okay, so we'll do it. I put some on my finger. I go like this. I take that. And I make a star for those of you who didn't see it. And I think this can conclude our live. And I will continue decorating this cake for Linda. So it's ready by Saturday. I'll probably spend most of the afternoon on it. Should anybody want to do any of it live again, you can just contact me and let me know. I think that we've covered most of the things that need to be done. It's just now I will do all the repetitions on my own in my kitchen. But basically, see here, I have a little crack. I'm gonna put a little star. No more crack. There you go. And it will be all over the cake, and I will use some of that powder once my cake is dry. Right now it's been sweating too much outside the fridge, but I will put some of that gold dust onto the cake so it counterbalances the fact that the tie and dye did not happen yesterday. You want to make them, but you don't know how? The macaroons? Okay, so macaroons is not the easiest thing to do. Number one, you need specific molds for macaroons that are round, but like a dome inside. Yes, it's gonna be almond flour. Most of them will also have wheat, so don't be mistaken if you're gluten-free like us. And what's cool in the macaroons is when you have them in several flavors, several colors. So now you get into a whole different batch of baking. You like it, the mosaic fairy? But in general, macaroons is the almond flour treat. And what's really good is to use a jam in the middle. If you do a raspberry macaroon, you'll use a raspberry jam in the middle. If you do a chocolate macaroon, you'll do a chocolate ganache in the middle. If you do a vanilla one, then you can do a pistachio inside, and now it's bicolor, and you can become crazy. And what's funny is, for my wedding, I didn't have a cake. I had a tower of macaroons. And I did it myself, so it would cost the least amount possible, but I had macaroons also in vases, and it looked phenomenal. Yes, it's like, but you don't really want to do a meringue. You want to do it with almond flour, and it's very moist inside and it's crunchy out. Right, the mosaic fairy? But yeah, macaroons are phenomenal. They're a good treat. They take a long time to do. So you basically do a batch, and then you separate your batches. You give them the color you want. Let's say you do 5 colors, so you have 5 batches now. And one batch you'll fill with the raspberry, one batch with the chocolate, one batch without. And it's just, you just colored the actual macaroon. The inside is where the taste is. Sometimes I put meringue on cakes, but because I do not like meringue myself, I tend not to. But I already did. I think I did for that cake where my kids wanted some mountains on it. I did meringue. Yeah, it's just egg whites and sugar, basically. Exactly. Yes, meringue. I know you're trying to write it in another language, but I won't get the other language, Caroline. I will only get it in French. So you're good. I understood what you're saying. The egg whites and the sugar, it's super easy. You know, when you want to make mountains or wanted to make clouds here, actually, we don't, because it would be too much on this cake. But if we wanted to make clouds here, we could have made them in meringue. That would have been pretty. Ganache is not easy to do, no. Ganache is, and for the ganache to be good, you want it to be textured. And you want several textures. Okay, thank you, everybody. I hope you had a good time. We spent an hour and a half together. You know how it's puzzled in here as to how it's gonna go there after being drawn on a design like that. you know that there are so many steps. I mean, I had to stamp those letters before we started. We did this together, but this now needs to dry, cannot be put on the cake straight away. There are limitations to doing decorations live, but it's making it so much more fun for me. So much more fun than being alone in my kitchen. Trust me. And I just love doing those. And then because I'm with you online, I cannot just go and take a break and how do I tell my kids? Like waste my time, you know? I have to get it done because you're here online. I want to respect your time, so I go way faster in making the cake. So you guys are helping me a ton, more than you think. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Sophia. You guys have a good one, and I will probably either do another live when things are ready to be put on to the cake, and all the lettering is on top, or bye Sophia, or I will do just a short and you'll see the craftsmanship of the cake, but because you've seen this, you will understand it fully. Thank you so much.